if you don't do interviews in such a way to know this person, that's why you are shocked that when a guy goes into your organization, he messed the things up because you never knew him. You are so interested in the asset side. You didn't try to probe, who is this guy?
It's good to have you here today on our very podcast, and now with the Manager podcast, Ademola. And thank you for the privilege to share a stage like this with you. And I know quite a lot of people might not really know you in person, but they will know me, Obo Matthew. Let me just mention that again. But, you know, and now with the Manager's podcast actually was a virtual podcast, but we looked at it and said, no, we have very wonderful minds, very wonderful and interesting experts in Nigeria who we can also bring into our country, bring in here and leverage their own experience to share information with our audience who can also, our global audience who can also learn from all that we've been doing so far. So please, in a very short while, how are you doing today?
I am great, and it's been an honor to be with you today. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Wow. Thank you very much. And I know I took a little bit of your time, but...
No, it's not a problem. It's no problem.
Oh, well. So let me just ask quickly. How did you feel when I asked you to come be a guest on our show?
Okay, I didn't know you were going to come off me that way because I had the privilege of listening to other speakers. So I was trying to get what your first question could be and trying to wrap up what my answer would be. And you caught me right. Since yesterday, I've been thinking, how is this going to go? Okay. You got me right there. I was a bit surprised, but not surprised. I think most times I live my life with the understanding that life is a paradox. You know, it's always like positive and negative. Yes or no. You know, it just depends on how you now respond to those things that happen around you. So when you said I was going to come, there was a bit of nerves because I've never done this before. But I know if you don't rely on your own strength and you choose to rely on the one that gives you the ability to know all things, and I don't think there should be any problem. So I've left everything to God to take control. But it's interesting so far. It's interesting.
Thank you very much for breaking that down and for letting us understand that things can just flow. Because where we are today right now is because we just let things flow and boom. And somehow, anyhow, anywhere Belef is, we keep moving.
Can I steal a line from one of the speakers I heard?
Of course, please.
It mentioned something about us being pawns in the game of chess. And I love that so much. I love to play chess a lot. But I will take it further, as I used to say that we are all pawns in either guy's game of chess. Meaning that I could be a Ruth in your own game of chess. You could be a knight in my own game of chess. So when you move, your implication of your move affects mine. You see that? So we can even have that's why you have different officers in the game of chess. You have several pawns. You have the king and the rook and the queen and all. They have different jobs. Interestingly, they make the queen the most powerful, but I will not go there today. But that mimics life. See, the game of chess mimics life. If you play chess well, you will see life practically in the game of chess. How is it possible that a rook can be a king or anything he wants to be, but can only move a step forward or two steps? And let me not go into chess right now. It's just one of the things I enjoy because anything has to do with exploring the mind. I know why chess, I said, is why you can even think of a game that makes you plan like 5 moves ahead. It's already crazy, you know. So that means you see what others will not see. You think the way others do not think, you know. And that already gives you an edge. So it's quite interesting.
Talking about game of chess, because for anybody to understand the game of chess itself, I don't know how to play game of chess. Surprisingly, I had a time where I had someone who would have taught me how to play chess, but you know, it's one of those games where you don't really fancy so much. You just see people sit down and they're pushing something, pushing this, pushing
That's
that.
why they can be there for hours. You can see a guy looking at the game and like thinking for hours, like, what do I do? It's that deep. If you can't think, you can play chess.
Wow. Okay. Also, for the benefit of those who are actually seeing you for the first time, please, would like to share with us your background, what has really motivated you to where you are today, And what is that thing that keeps you going, that you know that anybody who's listening to this, who's watching this very conversation, will be able to get out of it, and even the team who's here with us will be able to also get out of this very conversation and know that, oh, this is who Ademola is, oh, this is what makes Ademola unique, oh, this is why Ademola is this way, and this is why Ademola is this very intellectual with his words, talking about chess too.
Okay, I don't know where you got that from, but I'm going to answer your question in a very simple word, and I will call it grace. I'm not using it in the real term, in the simple terms of, everybody has grace, No, that's not what I mean. Yeah, I've been able to think about my life over the years, and the summary of it all is God's grace. I discovered also in that journey that God is not a waster of talent, He's not a waster of skills. My ability to love, or my, I would say, skill or knowledge in mathematics or figures, my love for figures, because you see that most of my career has been all about figures.
Of course.
When I was in primary school, luckily for me, I was in primary 6 when I wrote a mathematics competition then.
Wow.
And I came out the best. Part of my mom kept the certificate. I put on my LinkedIn one day when she showed me that I used to be a very good boy, stuff like that. So I won with a friend of mine, Fashion Ronsi Afolabi. I can't forget that name. That guy is so brilliant. As in, I used to use like him in class, like you this boy. As in, competition in mathematics, you'd be like, I got 100, you got 99, that 98, 97. Me and that boy were always like, so I always watch him like, you this boy. But it was really that good. So it was really a healthy competition. Both of us went to for the competition then, and I came out top with him, and they were giving us certificate. That was a primary 6 some years back. And from there, university, guess what? Accounting again, figures. And when I got out of accounting, the first really major job I got that I would say was paying me, I won't mention the salary, was really like, when you are surviving, you're coming out of life, wondering what's going to happen to you after service, was with video professional service. And I would say I thank God for that exposure. Wow. Because I would say if I've probably gone to the big 4 then, probably I won't have learned as much as I learned in video, The pay, it wasn't about the pay. That was when I learned one of my rudiments in finance. And I can still mention most of my partners, Mr. Kimbayer, quite a number of them. That really helped me a lot, solidify my numbers. And I think I have a knack for picking things, like probably what others will not see. So I just have that knack of picking things and figures, connecting things together. And they trusted me so much that they told me to go and do an audit by myself in Kaduna with APT. I was scared, but I don't know what they saw then, but I did my best and it was fun. So I think that helped me. Then I got into Loshe, and from there as an accountant also, with the video audit experience, wrote to country manager, and it's all still about management and figures, And interestingly, I've been learning about figures myself. So I think it's, the truth is everything about life is figures.
Of course.
Let's be realistic.
Numbers,
this podcast, at the end of the day, you want it to materialize some figures, views,
of course,
contacts and all like that. You're growing older, figures. You want your bank account to be longer, figures. You have not achieved so at this age, they will slam you, figures. You are 40, you're not married, figures. So everything really about us is figures, really. So, but just that some people put too much attention on that figure than the life itself. And that's where most time I have a problem with management. I don't want to jump the gun, probably will get there. But that's why most time I preach fairness. And when you're talking about fairness, that means there's a negotiation, there's an exchange. Sorry, let me not jump the gun. Let me allow you to ask your question. Well, I will limit it to that for now. So I would say God doesn't waste talent. So my love for figures, I noticed that from my childhood. There's a reason why I put it there.
That's
really, as an I won't lie to you, I'm seeing it every day. I'm seeing why I had to know mathematics. It wasn't like. So that's why I say grace. That means He opportuned me to know it. It's not like it's a mistake. I'm seeing the relevance of me loving maths to my life, like directly. If you see my notes, my friends that see my note, they will see all manner of figures and like, guy, what are you doing? Are you running mad? I say, I don't know why I see these things, but they just make sense to me. So I would say it's grace for real. And my mathematics also came from my dad. They call him mathematics. He's really good. When you train you in maths.
I think that's directly from the gene.
Yeah, those days, early days, when your dad is sitting down with that long thing called pankere, and you mistakenly doze off, you just say, sorry. Mm-hmm. So that was I had to use my local download so that they can understand what I mean. It's called pankere. It's a special kind of cane. It's not, it doesn't break easily. Trust me. So
okay, when you talked about your first job, let's just get back a little bit there.
Okay.
And I kind of related to what is going on today. Although I personally, when I started out, I kind of loved numbers, but going into, we only love financial accounting then in secondary school, but going into the university days, we realized that, man, this is quite different, but I'm a business person. I love business, but most of my friends would probably say, hey, Matthew, why not just go into business? I'm like, well, just let me keep doing my agri thing and let's keep flowing. But in today's world, we don't really have people who are patient enough to want to learn like you did and probably receive that same menial pay that you collected, but get that hands-on experience that can help them propel to the next space. What do you think is really that, from your years of experience, what do you think is really that number one factor that is giving that gap between skilled employees and unskilled employees in today's world that you've seen?
I would say mindset. And the reason why I put it as that simple as mindset is because it's your decision to make. Mindset in the sense that what I helped me over the years is I choose to pursue value rather than the material that comes from the value exchange. So I would say it's the mindset. Most people, and I don't blame them, because the reason I say mindset, and I don't blame them, because if you want to be fair, the economic condition of the country doesn't allow people to pursue value. It allows them to pursue the thing that the value could create, which someone else is going to enjoy anyway. So you see people running after money. What do I get out of this? And do you blame them? You can't blame them. You're right? True. So how many people are really willing to be patient to grow? I'm not saying I don't want to be like offered the best deal. No. But if I get the opportunity for those, I will have taken it. Yeah. Right? But if they never came and the opportunity was for me to grow, and obviously that's my mindset. Sure. I know I said mindset. Yeah. Because you can't give what you don't have. So it will work for me because I've always had a mindset of growth, of value. I've never been enticed with material. I don't know whatever you will have that will freak me. I don't know. Maybe that's who I am. That's why I said maybe mindset plays a role there. And some people, I'm sorry, you can't help it. Once they see that the money is involved, they go all in. That's another mindset.
That's a different motivation.
Exactly. So that's why I say you can't blame them, because at the end of the day, everybody wants to make money. But the truth of the matter is, before you get to the money thing, there are two variables that are involved. I was writing a write-up. I call it value and subjectivity, and I asked a simple question: time equals value. We all agree. Money equals value, right? There are some kind of value, and you can quantify both. I know you can use qualitative and quantitative for both of them. That's why most times in life, you always have a quantitative measure of your life and a qualitative measure of your life, right? So if time is value and money is value, so that means time is money, like we always say, right?
Of course.
But both of them are representing some kind of value. Yeah. So I used to say it. You put value in the between, time equals value equals money, because it's your time that you convert to money, right? So if you are pursuing money, and you leave the middle ground, you are already trying to jump the gun. It won't work, right? So time is value equals money. Simple. So if you understand that simple analysis, you will not discover that you convert your time in a valuable space to make money. So if you can understand that, you will make money. That's the truth. Because at the end of the day, value will speak. No matter the number of years, value will always speak.
Wow.
That's why you will not mind buying a Rolex for X amount of dollars, because any day you there's nothing like the battery has gone down. Or if you buy it at Alaba and 2 years later, you are like, why is this battery not working? Come on, bro. So exactly, value always speaks at the end of the day.
Of course. Wow. Talking about time, value, and I'm like, I'm right now, I think I'm kind of having that satisfaction from hearing your word. I think I'm using that to console myself right now, and every one of my team members to console myself that, okay, I think the past 1 year or 6 months we spent wasn't actually a waste of time, because it got me to realize that when you decide to do something, when you decide to move, you might not really get the right picture, but in as much as you've portrayed it as a thing of value, you always have the right people to connect it to you and make it better, and you keep going and you keep going and you keep going. But let's look at it a little bit from you talking about business, because I know you are being a finance person has to also do with you having a business mindset. I saw on your LinkedIn profile, you wrote that business is a win-win. I've always been longing to ask that question.
Okay.
Why did you? People write lots of stuff on LinkedIn, writes a whole lot of things. I probably wrote differently. If you go to my LinkedIn profile, it's quite different. But why did you decide to put down the business is a win-win? What was the thought or the brain behind that? Or were you in a different mood before you put that up?
Okay. One thing about me that I've come across, I think a few of my friends have said it, is my ability to make complex things simple.
Okay.
All right? I love simplicity. If on my good day you see me, probably sit me on short knicker. I don't know. I just love the easy things. But it doesn't mean I'm not complex in my thoughts.
Okay.
Right? So you can give me a complex situation and I simplify it for you. So I enjoy that a lot. So when I wrote Business is a Win-Win, it's simple, but it's really complex. And I'm saying a lot. I'm actually trying to portray the term called fairness. I discovered that people are not fair in business.
Okay.
Hardly do you find businesses like a win-win situation. Hardly. Let's be fair. I've been in that space for a while. At least the major one that I could say that I saw that gave me that experience was with Lushe, Germany. And I discovered that business most time is not a win-win. Now, in finance, now when my orgas, I can testify to this, my ECCA PhD orgas, we always call it statement of profit or loss, right?
Okay.
Or statement of financial income statement, right? Yeah. We have your financial statement and your cash flow and all the other two. Now, but I want to stay on that income statement, which is before we used to call it, on GAAP, we used to call it profit or loss account, right?
Of course.
Now, so what you're trying to say is either a profit or a loss. You can have both. And also, you see, I like making things based on fact, right? And I'll ask you a question. We all agree, generally, that there's no free money, right? I'm just trying to make a statement, right? So if there's nothing free, whatever you're getting costs someone something, even if it's a gift.
Yeah.
If your daddy gave you an iPhone, it cost him his money. Even if somebody gave it to him to give it to you, it still costs that person money. In short, it costs the person money and time to go and buy it. So it will always cost you something. There's nothing free in this life. So the profit you're actually saying you made in your company is probably off another person's loss. And I say that from a statement, as a statement of fact, because you go into a negotiation with a supplier, let's say, for example, or another vendor, and because you've had your markup calculated to a specific limit, so you're telling this vendor you can't do this business for more than 2 million euros, for example. 2 million euros. Okay. Now I'm going to put another dynamics into the play. Let's say, unfortunately, you're dealing with a monopolistic leader, someone that controls the market, maybe has like over 50% market share, controlling interest, And it's really, you don't have a choice but to deal with him, because if you don't deal with him, there's no business, right?
Yeah.
So, and you as a customer that you need this business and he's selling you 2 million, but your real cost for that project is $4 million. Okay. I get to me. And at the end of the day, you didn't have a choice but to take the $2 million. You probably say, why did you take it? Oh, right. I just made a statement. It's a monopolistic. Yeah. And I will make it even easier for a guy looking for a job. I wrote that also in one of my write-ups with Lagos Business School, one of my tests. I said, if you're a young guy looking for a job and you go to this interview and the HR asks you, how much are you going to get paid? I used to wonder why they asked that question, though, because I know every management has already had a benchmark, how much you're going to pay staff. That's why they have budgets. They already know what their payroll cost is going to be at the end. There's no matter how good you are, that they will change their payroll cost budget because of you. So if you're asking for 500 and the budget is 250, you've lost the job. Let's be sincere. So when they asked that question, I was used to wonder, okay, you made up your mind what you're going to do. There's a range. Is either you're trying to shortchange me to bring it that I asked for lower than the budgeted, all right?
Yeah.
And most times when they now say, okay, this is what they have, which Nigerian are that now right now will not accept it, even if it's 50,000, even if it's 30,000.
I on that part,
I'm going somewhere. I stated a statement earlier of the economic condition.
Yeah.
Now let me put another stick into the thing. Let's say this guy's a firstborn and has 4 other younger ones.
Okay.
The father is retired. The mommy used to be a teacher, retired.
Okay.
And the other younger 3 sisters are still in school. Yeah, you see what I mean. I'm talking about a typical Nigerian here. I'm trying to be realistic. Okay. I'm not talking about the ones that are privileged.
Okay.
I'm talking about typical Nigerian has to wake up every morning and wonder where's the next meal going to come from.
Of course. Right?
And he gets this job for 80,000 naira. He's going to take it. Now, if along the line he starts complaining, you probably will tell him, why did you take the job? He's not going to pay you. But at that point, what do you expect him to do? All right? Okay. So, you see why I'm talking about fairness. Now, if the company have decided to pay 250,000 for this role, and because you don't have an idea, but where you're coming from, you have never even had 100,000. And you now feel like, if I get 100,000 to solve my problem, may I just go? And you said, 100, 150 will be fine. And they still probably pressure you. You say 120, even though it's 250. Now the company will have thought they saved money, right? But that's not fair. Just give the guy what you budgeted. Simple. Because at the end of the day, before you made up your mind it was 250, you already considered the economic condition of the country. You've considered inflation. You've considered a lot of things. So for you to say, okay, 250 will be fair. So if the guy has made up his or set something around lower than that, I think it's an HR part to say, okay, guy, this is what we budget for this round. We'll still pay you. But I doubt if anybody would do that.
But you, because that's just what I'm about saying. Don't you think that which company will hear such an opportunity and probably not chose one? Because I've had a friend who told me that he's earning. I think then he was earning $1,000. The same person doing the same job in the same company is earning $2,000 or so. And I'm like, well, it's not. You won't really blame this person because it's what you negotiated that you're being paid for.
I get that point.
Yeah.
Now that could have been avoided if we all agree on a benchmark of fairness, irrespective.
How doesn't mean that a company needs to show you what need to pay you or something.
This is what I'm saying. They already made up their mind what the benchmark for that role is.
Of course.
You get?
Yeah.
I'm not saying they should show it to you.
Okay.
But don't forget, no matter how much you say in that interview, they're going to give you an offer letter.
Of course.
You get my point? So in the offer letter, they can now decide to make that decision and say, okay, since it's 250 we planned for this role, let's still give him the 250. It's within the range. I'm not saying he's asking for 500. He said 150. And the reason why I say 150 because of his mentality, where he's coming from. I know what I'm saying.
But not everybody thinks
exactly. Not everybody thinks. I'm just speaking for everybody. I won't think that way.
Of course.
See, when I factor my thought, I deal with people according to understanding. So I just assume, what if it was this guy? Okay, what if I was in this situation? What if I was in this shoe? What would I have done differently? That's exactly why I made up that scenario. I'm not saying it's what happens every other time. No, I'm just looking at every other simple guy that finds himself in that situation. He would probably never know that the position was 250. I'm only saying, I too don't know. I'm only making an assumption that what if that's a situation in your company, maybe it's something you can look at and say, okay, if this is what we budgeted, irrespective of what the candidate is saying, as long as it's within the range, we give him the range. We give him what we budgeted. But I'm not saying that, like I said, if they ask for 500 and they budgeted 250, you think they'll give 500? No, let's be fair.
For sure. No.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So why shunted the guy because he asked for less? When you would never probably shift your ground because he asked for more. Fairness.
But you know, depending on the value a particular person brings, they can always shift their ground. Let me just share something that happened to me recently. So we kind of had an opening at an hour with the manager. We kind of had an opening for an operational manager. We had over 50 plus guys applied for this, and surprisingly, and very, very shockingly, the HR person was supposed to anchor that very employment process. Kind of had some very, very tight family stuff at that very point. So I just understood, and I needed to take on this job. I needed to be the HR for this whole process. I had to verdict all employment application. Surprisingly, just 90% out of that number wasn't even qualified. Now, not that they were not qualified because, let me say 80% were not qualified. Not that they were not qualified because they didn't have a good skill set. They didn't read the description, so they just apply. You'll find someone from let's say someone from, which background would I even say that is kind of very opposite? Someone from design is coming to do operational management. You've not really put yourself in that space.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you think he did that?
Well,
you see what I'm talking about, the desperation?
So you know, yes, the desperation, like you've mentioned. So what I'm trying to drive at is this, that the other 10% out of the remaining 20, because that's like 20%, the other 10% kind of, okay, those ones are very senior persons. I need that, oh no, these guys are way beyond budget, okay, like you mentioned. Then the 10% that actually were ready for this job, let's say we finally then close up with one person. In processing for the job, very surprisingly, we have a budget. And then we're ready to go beyond our budget. But the agreement was this: if you give us your best, we would extend this budget after this time frame. And then do the needful for you to be able to work effectively, because we need it to be very effective. And we understand that you need those things to also be effective based on everything that you're doing. And we do everything remotely. But surprisingly, this same person who needs this job switched every process to make it look like you, who's the employer, you are the one who is now working for you're my employer. So me, who's the employee, you're now working for me. So weird. Yeah, it was a very, very, very crazy moment. So instead of me, the employee, doing the negotiation, I'm now leaving it open for you to negotiate for me. You're now the one who is now begging me to come do the job. And in cases like that, when I know that, because you need this job, and because I know that we need you as a company, we need you to be effective, you will now transform everything simply because we've given you that leverage to say, when you perform at your best, we would move a step further to appreciate you. Don't you think that is actually a factor to even make that space open? Because the outcome wasn't very nice. If I'm telling you, the outcome wasn't very nice. The applicants, I just had to pause everything, not because of any personal interest or anything, but because this person didn't come to me. Okay, you're coming to me telling me to give you 50% of the salary before you even start a job, and I'm like, wait. In which organization or company or corporation do they ever give you even 10% of your salary, except on very tight schedule? You understand? You've not started a job and you're requesting for 50% of the salary. So in your own context, what will you do if you were to be in our shoes? What would you say in line with what you've talked about in terms of negotiation? Because all of this also is being factored in, because the next person will probably be applying for that role. I will handle the person differently, or probably HR will handle the person differently. After hearing this kind of outcome, what will you do if you had to find yourself in such position?
Okay, first of all, he already gave you an into his kind of mindset, all right? Which is, give me 50%. He wants money, all right? So I'm not surprised that you already said that you were also willing to go above the budget, meaning that he probably pushed for more, right? So he already gave you what his mindset was. He needs the money. And I like what you said, which though could have been a double-edged sword, but it's still nice in this particular instance that you said that, okay, if you perform, maybe after 6 months, which is what every organization would do. They watch you after 3 months of probation period or 6 months before they confirm you, and they probably say, okay, yeah, we give you this now, right?
Yeah.
Which is the right thing you've done. So I don't think, so if he's not taking the job because you choose not to pay him 50% of his salary, then you dodge a bullet, basically, because he's already gave you what his mindset is. And I can tell you, if that guy took the job, he'll probably give his best for 6 months, and after 6 months, he'll drop. I'll be wondering what's going on with him. Yes, because and the only day he will probably feel a lot happier is when you tell him, okay, I'll give you 10% more if you do better. So for how long are you going to do that?
And you keep increasing.
Exactly. So that's why I said mindset, first of all. See, you have to understand that people are different. All right? That's why when I mentioned mindset, so like the conversation we'll have with me in an interview will be different from another person, because we'll probably not even be talking about money. I probably have done a bit of research and telling you this is where you could have done better. This is where you could have, like you're wondering. There's so many interviews I did like that. The guy was even asking me, how much time did you spend on our website? Like I had to do my job for you to at least, even when I don't get the job, you can always remember that this guy gave us 1 or 2 insights and that could help us. That's the way I see it. Value exchange. Because you never know.
Okay. Okay. Let's come back to the organization a little bit. From your own experience working with couple of brands, couple of companies, German companies, even subsidiaries, and still connecting with Dangote and the rest, what do you think it's that prevalent thing that is really happening in management that is either causing a rise or a fall in terms of management? And because I feel like people or employees are actually beginning to demand for more. Okay, employees are beginning to demand for more and doing less. That is becoming a trend. So if they're not asking more from the organization, but they in turn are kind of giving out less to the organization. So how can they strike that balance for effectiveness, both the organization and the employee itself? From the brands, the companies you've been able to work with and you've been able to manage, both as a country manager and the rest, what do you think is really that problem, and how can you strike that balance?
I think I'll still go back to my word called fairness. And say to every action, there's a reaction. We know that, law of physics. Huh? And for you wonder why I did accounting. I'm a science student, though. Don't mind me. So to every action, there's a reaction. Right?
Okay.
Before the staff will start demanding for more to do less, they must have felt that there was a time they were doing more and being paid less. Right? So if they're like, for all my 10 years of hard work, what have I gotten out of this? So I think I also want more for less work. So they're trying to pay back the company, and the company paid them. Are you saying that there's already a strife? So that company is already in a problem. As a pride, they're going to have issues. Because there's a miscommunication from the management to the top guy, to the floor guys already. So the only way you can do that is to change the formula and start preaching to them the fairness that you should have done from day one when you started the company. Yes. I keep saying it. People are not fair in business. Okay, see, a typical Nigerian is always afraid of HR. Why? Let's even start from there. Why? Once you see HR,
don't you think if you're too fair, it also causes problem too?
No, you can you be too fair? See, now let's break it down. We always assume that people can always be their worst, right?
Yeah.
No, I don't see that in people. I always assume that people can be at their best. Though I know we are capable of great evil. You remember one of the conversations we have in literally one of those days when I said assets equal liabilities?
Yeah.
Yes. Now, I keep saying mindset, like it's more of a person thing.
Yeah.
See, once you understand that as much of an asset that you are, you're also a liability to that same volume.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's the person that matters.
Okay.
So that is why I always wonder why HR interviews are no more into knowing who this person is than what his skills are. They are interested. I keep saying that I can have so much talent. But if you don't take care of my, I can have some more quantitative qualities that I can prove to you that, in this company, I did 25% increase in revenue between 2001, 2002. Yeah, it's good. He did his figures. He has his sales numbers locked in. But what about my qualitative values? My values, as in the other things that you cannot see, but they're inherent, because those are the things that determine who I am at the end of the day. Those are my inherent values. Those are determines the way I choose to act. What if? Those are actually, so you have to understand that if you don't do interviews in such a way to know this person, that's why you are shocked that when a guy goes into your organization, he messed the things up because you never knew him. You are so interested in the asset side. You didn't try to probe, who is this guy? Is there a possibility that, I know they do ask this, and what are your weaknesses? And trust me, people go online to even know how to answer that question now, so they should not be asking again.
And AI is even doing that, doing worst.
See, I say something, I stand to be corrected. I feel the job of AI is supposed to make us human better, right? Not to replace it. But what I see now is people trying to make what we should do to make the AI do it.
Yeah.
If an AI can write you an essay, then there's something about the human mind. It's not something you can capture.
It's not a machine.
It's not a machine. Not offense to AI. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going against. But like you said, you can, like the other speaker said, you start making voice calls with your transfer money from your account. See if you can think, those things are already possible. In short, if you imagine flying cars already, know that.
After all, people had that thought before the belts do stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. After all, people belts do stuff to even have those people. Like someone sat down, drafted a plan.
You get my point.
You didn't just wake up one morning.
Exactly.
Talking about AI a little bit. For me, I have been opportune to converse with a couple of experts as a result of an hour with a manager like yourself, who is also sharing this information today. And my very simple advice to everybody who is looking to go into using AI is good. AI is awesome. In fact, AI is the fastest way to get job done. But in coming years, creative thinking and critical thinking will really be a big factor. We'll be lagging behind because humans are beginning to rely 150% on AI to do the job. And the faster we are to snap out of that and realize that, no, AI can probably start the process for you. You use your head to complete it and refine it so that you and me can connect together.
Exactly.
Instead of just relying fully on AI. Well, I don't know however it's going to look like, but I feel like as it is right now, people need to start looking back again at what AI is really doing for them and what AI is really doing in that space.
I'm so happy I have someone on my side. I thought I'm alone in this journey because I wrote, my funny quote on LinkedIn, don't get too many likes because I don't write the common stuff. People probably will, where my mind is somewhere else, and I'm trying to pass a message. But if you read in between the lines, you get what I'm trying to say.
But don't forget, even on LinkedIn, that the best message, people don't really read it.
I guess so.
Yeah, of course. So I understand what you're saying.
Thank you for my I am concerned because sometimes people are like, did they not get the message? This should be something you should be. But I don't even look at that anymore. But one day I wrote and I was asking a very simple question. I can't remember exactly how I wrote it. But what I was trying to say is, like you mentioned, you wrote the program for this AI, right? Can what you create be smarter than you? It's like you telling me that God created me and I'm smarter than God. That's exactly what you're trying to say. So you created the program for the AI. In short, you're already given the AI the problem of the things it or it cannot do, right? So it's a program at the end of the day. Even if you want that program to evolve, it's still a program. All right? The capacity to which it will evolve, you might not know, but it's still a program at the end of the day, which can even go haywire. Like we've seen some movies, they will tell us that the AI has ability to think and want to dominate on all those stories and all, you know? So at the end of the day, can what you create be better than you or more intellectual than you? And I'm looking at from the side of the creator to the created now. I'm not looking at it from us human beings, because AI is another version. It's not human, no matter how you want to say it. It doesn't have a heart. It can, later they'll tell us it can feel, right? It can cry and hug, yeah. But at the end of the day, it still doesn't have a pulse, a heart, all right? It's not human. And they can never have that capacity to which a human mind can do. That's what I think, all right? So I feel that their job is to make us better, not to replace us or maybe be in competition, or we now solely rely on them and become so lazy. So where's your mind? You just tell AI to do this and it's done, and you just read it out and you say, no, come on, think. And result people don't want to think, want the easy way out. We can't help it.
So let's just stretch a little bit. So from what you're saying right now as regards to AI, do you think, talking about job, do you think AI is going to take away people's job? Because I know a lot of people are very scared of that very point, that, AI is here, AI is going to take away my job, AI is going to do this, AI is going to do that.
Now,
what's your own point as regards to that?
Whether you like it or not, it's going to happen. The rate at which innovation is going right now, a lot of people will be out of job. Let's be realistic, except you're not going with the trend. AI is not going to stop. We're only saying that let's make our focus right with it, not like we're solely relying on it. That's why I say I'm not against AI. I'm only saying that the way some people are using it right now, I don't get it. So AI is going to stay, and it's going to improve a lot of processes where human capacity is limited. Good.
I like that.
So that means you're going to replace if your job falls in line with an AI. For example, even in a manufacturing company where they do a lot of assemblies and all, robots will do those jobs for you, right? So at the end of the day, these jobs will change. So what are you trying? But see, that's why I said I like thinkers. There's one thing that the AI will never take from you: your mind. Yes. So if you know that AI is going to take some jobs, why not start switching, start thinking, what else can I do that AI doesn't have capacity to do? And trust me, as long as you can use your mind, I think you'll be relevant in any industry. That's why I love management. That's the truth. That's why I've always wanted to be a management person, though I had my major background in finance. And one thing I used to say, no offense to finance, but the historical figures are good, but they can only tell me what happened in the past. Now, if what has happened in the past is only the trend I have for me to forecast the future, I'm already having a problem, all right? Because I can't rely on what has happened in the past, because I'm not assured of the same trend tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. So when we do some forecast based on trends, I used to laugh sometimes, but anyway, that's the best we can do, because they are historical data. What I love to do is to be among the decision makers and take the decision now so that I can impact the future result, not checking on what has happened 10 years ago. You get? So if we didn't get it right last year, I want to be among those guys that we can now sit and think.
Get it right.
You get my point? So that's why I love thinkers. I love to be among those decision makers, not the ones that are recording the effect of the decision. You know, management will take a decision, let's do this. The financial, all they do is just record the effect of that decision, and they will come and tell you, the decision you took, it was a profit or a loss. Simple. That's all. So that's why management is key. Because the effect of those decisions is what other departments will probably come and record. But so that's why thinkers are very, very important. And I cannot see a place where a board will leave his management decisions to robots. I don't think so. You get? So if I'm not saying everybody's going to be a management guy at the end of the day, but maybe there's things you can still do with your mind that can put. For example, everybody can choose to write. Your perspective will always be your perspective. That's the truth. Even an AI might read your perspective, I mean, like, I learned from you. Because most of the things they put in this AI are probably dictionary of some past thoughts of some people. Are you telling me that he has the ability to generate his own codes? No, probably like they were loaded some past information from Newton and every other been to it. And the guy has a faster processing and just recollect on one or two things and just make a permutation and give you the answer. Because he has been loaded with enough things for you to work with. The same thing with your brain. So, you see, AI is just another version of human that is a better intellect. Because it's limited to just that. Imagine that you can be programmed to just think alone. You'll be the best thinker, trust me. Because what you give time to, you develop yourself in. But you cannot do that because you do other things. Yeah. AI is just, when you switch it on, it does what you ask it to do. And when you switch it off, it's what? Offline. And you will not get tired, right? You have fatigue. You have to sleep. You're limited in some things. So there are a lot of differences. So we should not compare these two paradigms as if they are like equal, like want to replace each other. So for if you are scared, I would say start thinking. Your mind is the only gateway you have. Your mind is the only gateway you have.
So I love the approach you've actually balanced up the whole AI and workforce and trying to make clarity. Please, to those watching this, AI is not going to take your job. No. Start thinking, start looking in depth at critical thinking, start seeing how you can manage processes and understand what is going on and what you can do. Because I think one of these guys, Daniel Priestley, very, very wonderful podcaster too, himself and a team of entrepreneurs in his organization, they've actually came up with an AI that can actually help you start writing faster. I've actually forgotten the name of that product or two. And already that is a gap. You understand? That is the writing gap. Because all what you need to do is what do you want, what kind of information do you need, you throw it in there, how you want your book to be, and probably what you need to be doing. So meaning that there is a gap for editors. So meaning that if I'm done giving to AI for it to give me the full book, so an editor will have to start transcribing and give it those human words, human touch, human connection. Now, let's look at data. You're talking about, we shouldn't rely solely on the past data, but cryptocurrency, in quotes, kind of relies on past data, and if you look at it, it still happens. So why do you think in finance, not relying solely on those data to forecast the future is not really, really effective, or is there another approach?
Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's not effective, because for the lack of no other method, right, you probably have to rely on what is happening. For example, I can't know where you're going if I don't know where you're coming from.
Okay.
So you cannot say the past is not relevant. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it is not. It's like a picture of what you've been doing.
Okay.
But if, for example, what you've been doing is not satisfactory and you want to change, that means I have to understand what you're doing first to know that it's wrong, for me to now propose something else to make it change.
Yeah.
You get it? That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm not saying past events are bad, that we don't link it to them.
Okay.
But what I'm also saying is this. You can't tell me what will happen in the next few minutes.
Of course.
Right? So the best you can do is rely that those assumptions you've made are still relevant. That's why most times in management, you say, okay, always review your plan. Always check, and there are some indicators that you can always use. You have the inflation rate there, you have the monetization policy, you have a lot of factors that can give you an insight to, okay, if this is like this now, maybe in the next few months, there's a possibility of it going up. Those are the thinkers. So you're not relying really on the past data. The past is only giving insight to think, really.
Okay.
All right? To rely on, okay, this is what has been happening, but is it possible that the same trend will continue in the next 5-10 years?
Okay.
Probably not. So if the same trend will not continue in the next 5 years, what's the possibility of the trend that will show up in the next 5-10 years? Then that's where you're thinking.
Okay.
You get my point? So I'm not saying that we use, of course, okay, how am I going to rely if I don't have past data? That's why you have your past. But your past is not as important as where you're going. It's just an indicator of where you're coming from and a pointer to the direction you probably could be going. So if I say, based on this, your past, there's a possibility that this is where you will end. If it does not pay you, you can change the directory. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So don't now say, okay, because we had this past, we are assured of this. No.
Okay.
No. So that's why I'm saying that. I'm not saying it's not effective. I'm only saying that you should just be flexible. Like in such a way that I don't expect that because it's $1 billion last year, it's going to be $2 billion this year. Because obviously, you never seen the money people that focus lower, right?
Yes.
Because if
Everybody's
your profit...
exactly.
So if your profit was $1.5 million last year, management will tell you this year, we are hitting $5 million. And they'll tell you, says it's based on this projection, we expect 50% sales, really, And they put the pressure on the marketers and all to make sure they hit that sales. At the end of the day, it's about the figures. You see?
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say, that we just need to balance these things. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ademola, for all you've been able to share. And for the benefit of those who have been able to walk through the journey with us, who have been able to gather on information from management, finance, you've shared quite a lot of experience from all that you've done. What will you say as a take-home for our listeners, our viewers who are following up on this very conversation, for them to take home as regards to management, as regards to your journey, and as regards to what we should be looking forward to? Because I know we don't really have a lot of your kind anymore. Why? I'm
there are a lot of my kind.
Yes, I'm going to tell you why I'm saying so. Because we have people who are solely bent on one pattern fix all. If it's not this pattern, nothing else is going to happen. You understand? But we have less of organizations just having people who are flexible, who are thinkers. Because if you have 10 man in every organization, every 10 man, you should have one thinker. Out of every 10 man, we have one thinker. But these days we have all 10 man, no thinkers. People who are only solely looking at making money, not concerned about the well-being of the employees, not concerned about the welfare of how every other thing is going to be put to place. That is why you find organizations, they start and everywhere is looking all very funny. Things are not moving in place, but money is coming into the organization. There is serious profit or revenue or profit coming into that very organization. But if you look at the structure, the workmanship of everything that is going on there, you can't really balance it and say, oh wait, is it really this company that is earning this, that their staff are looking this way? You understand?
Yeah.
So that's why I use that word, that we don't really have lots of people of your kind who might be thinking through that direction. So what will you say is going to be a take home for those listening to this? Probably the employees, business leaders, and everyone who's listening to this to also take home and know that, oh, this is actually the direction we're moving to. This is actually the future. And the future is already in front of us and we don't need to waste time or dabble about it.
Interestingly, I will still use my word I used when I started this conversation: fairness. Let's just be fair. That's the truth. Now, I will use maybe two scenarios to explain what I mean by being fair.
Okay.
Now, earlier I said we have profit or loss, right?
Yeah.
So it's either a profit or a loss. Now, let's say for an organization, you've been making profit for quite a number of years, huh?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, COVID happened, let's say, and inflation followed with what is happening right now, and cost went up.
Yeah.
And probably you're still paying your staff what you paid them like 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That's not fair. Now, you will tell me that the company is also eats with the high inflation. But my question is this. I made a statement. I said, you've been making profit for how many years? For the past years. Exactly. That's planning. Now, see, the profit you make is not for you to share. I know the financial statement is shared into equity holders and then your share capital and all, and your equity and all. So you should have reserve funds for such occasions like this. Now, it will be nice for every company to also adjust their payroll in accordance to the relevant economic state.
Yeah.
And the staff will understand. For example, if the staff already know that when costs are up, management always consider. Yeah. When things stabilize and the company now said, okay, right now we're not making so much money, but we know that the economic condition is a bit stable. Yeah. We probably have to just come down a bit. You think they will revolt? They will not. That's why I said understanding between management. There's always this gap between management and the lower cadres. That's why we have the middle managers to actually, most times, help bridge. Because most times it's communication. Most times the people at the top don't even know what's happening below.
Sure.
To them, they think that they are fine because they are feeding off information their managers are giving them.
Yeah.
And most of these managers don't even tell them the truth because they want to look good. Right? So they will tell them everything is fine. But the staffs are dying as long as they get well paid. That's why I said fairness. I see managers that decide to leave off their own junior staff. They will tell the junior staff to write emails. Just copy the email and send like that. Using people.
Yeah.
Let's be fair. So if you have asked someone to do something, give him the credit. Let management know that this guy can do this.
Yeah.
So next time they need to do that, they probably don't even have to ask you. It doesn't reduce your profession. It doesn't reduce your boss. They can even just tell him, tell that guy to write us that email to this purpose. You saved yourself time. But you rather tell them it has to be me. And when they tell him to do it, you go and do this, then he will not be the one to present to management. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's be fair. Let's allow other people grow. And lastly, when I say fairness, also I'll put in this scenario, when I was trying to talk about the supplier and customer relationship, you made profit so many years, okay, maybe in the particular year, you made so much profit than you anticipated for. Yeah. For example, what stopped you from calling all your vendors and suppliers and asking one of them, financial year this year was really extraordinary, and probably maybe when we're negotiating the contract with you, we should change you. Okay. So, is there a way we can compensate you? Yeah. And probably, like I said, maybe the other guy had 4 million budget on the project, but it could only take the 2 million because that's what you offered. Yeah. Now, by the time you finish the project, now discover you made so much money than you expected. What stopped you from going back to the same vendor and say, okay, maybe earlier in negotiation I was scared, not knowing how this thing will go, but now that we're good, can we compensate you? I don't think they do that. So that's fairness. That's what I mean. Let's think outside the box. So because if your supplier or customer grows, you grow too.
Of course.
Not at the extent of, but one thing I know is that we love the monopolistic idea in Nigeria. It has to be me. I want to control the market. Everybody must come through me. That way you cannot be fair. you can never be fair. And that's what is playing out in Nigeria today.
Well, the problem of Nigeria itself is, I don't know, but at first I would say I'm proud of its citizens, because irrespective of what is going on, we still move.
Yeah, sure.
We don't even act like we don't look like our problems, because if you actually we are problems,
oh Lord,
if you actually we are problems,
this.
Because I didn't want to mention how many times I've actually been on a live session and probably my internet gets interrupted. In fact, there's one thing that happens every 6 minutes past 12 midnight with my data. But once it's 6 minutes past 12 every midnight, my data, my internet disappears. My network disappears.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm like,
especially on Airtel. Sorry, I mentioned.
No, of course, because the first time this happened, I thought maybe it was maybe for my phone. I had to shut down my phone. But second day 3, day 4, and I'm like, wait, is this a norm? Why are they even really shutting?
To me too.
Why are they shutting down that period, and then probably after few seconds or few minutes it comes back up? And someday I'll get to have a talk, and then we'll understand why they do that, for whatever reason or whatever process. And even MTN itself with their whole process and their tariffs and increasing up data and all of that. But in its effectiveness, we still have problems. Sometimes I even have to rely on them or rely on a private network. But still, you realize that when you're on air, you're having a very cracky network. You understand? And these guys you won't just tell me that, oh, no, you don't have funds, you don't have the revenue to actually make these things better, and it should give us 100%, because over there in the Western world, these guys are enjoying a lot from data itself. Data is like very, very important. In today's world, data is of necessity. You understand? So talking about fairness, I'm hoping that every other person who is watching this, who is listening to this, will also be able to practice proper fairness and make things open and call it spade is spade, where it should be. Oh, if you're not performing well, this is why you're not performing well. Can you sit up so that this can happen for you? If you don't perform very well, like what I tell my team members, I'm not going to come and beat you. I don't have the cane or the stick to come and beat you. You're grown-ups, okay?
Not like my father.
But if you don't actually do your own job as you should do, and then you make us probably spend what you should have done to hire someone else to do it, then you know that is going to be your own loss, not the company's own, because we had the terms and condition that this is how it should be, and this is an organization that needs to grow, but you also need to play your own role. You understand? So I feel like transparency should also come in. Like you've mentioned, fairness is of utmost priority. Empathetic leaders, we need to start grooming that. And thank you for all of the points you've been able to share. And I'm looking forward to other greater things to come ahead of this very conversation, because I know that. And now with the Manager podcast is going to share more value, and we're going to share more things. And I'm looking forward to working with you in the future. And let's see how to make that. Thank you very much for coming on board on our podcast.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you very much for the time. Bye. More of what? Okay, I should go back again. You were not captioning it. Okay, so regards to fairness and empathy, talking about bringing in all of this inclusivity into organizations to see how to make it better. Like I told some of my colleagues, also my team members, that this is how it is. If you do your job right, you're going to get it right. If you don't do your job right and you have to pay someone else to do your job, then know that at that point, you're going to receive the loss, not the organization. Because if the organization have to pay you and still pay someone else to do your job, of what use are you to the organization at that point? It's not as if you're going to tell you to go, no, but you just need to bear the loss too as well, because this money that is coming in is not as if it's falling from the sky. You understand? It's out of someone else's sweat. Like you mentioned, profit and loss. When someone else is making profit, you yourself, you're also going to lose out.
There's always a cost.
Yeah, so you should also bear the cost and see how it is. So in as much as organizations are trying to also play fairness, they should make it open. Like in X, Elon Musk, since he came in, you call him a very radical leader. But if you look at it critically, people in today's world, we need those kind of leaders in organizations, whereby you know that, here you have to be very effective. And as much as you're effective, you're also going to probably be earning very well. You don't just come and just sit down and be pressing your laptop without even doing anything, or you're just there playing up and down. But I'm happy that you've been able to share all of these impulse, empathy, profit and loss, and balancing up in terms of your own finance space and your journey so far. And I'm looking forward to doing greater job with you in the future, because I know that from this podcast, we'll be able to break into to also let the value creation space be open for everybody to also learn, share information together, and connect with organizations and see how to make betterment for every other person, so that the employee's voice will be heard, the organization's voice will be heard, because if the employee's voice is heard, the leaders also needs to be heard, so that you can have a dialogue and have a balance. So thank you very much for coming on board this podcast.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this time
Thank you
and
too.
the opportunity.
Yeah,
God bless you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.